Dean, so give us an update on where the negotiations are at.
I've had a couple of exchanges with Bruce Trampler, who's a major matchmaker at Top Rank, which is owned by Bob Arum's company. It's probably the major promoter in the world, and Bruce has come back to me a couple of times and said, yes, we're interested, thanks for the patience, and we definitely want to get this done. So this only came about in the last couple of days, and the reason for it is that only last Friday we were head down in negotiations with Eddie Hearn to fight Anthony Joshua as his mandatory on November 26th. That came to a bit of a screaming halt as soon as the opportunity for Klitschko to fight came up because of the Tyson Fury pulling out. So there's a lot of things in play at the moment, but it's all looking very positive. The great thing about what we've got now is options. As you can see, as Stan has pointed out, we're number one in the IBF, we're number one in the WBO. It means that we're in line for any one of two titles, and time will tell us which one we go for. The person who hasn't got a lot of time right now is Anthony Joshua and Eddie Hearn. You know, they've got a venue booked for November 26th, and the clock is ticking.
Eden Park, you've spoken to the council.
Have a think about it from this point of view. In 120 years of the world heavyweight title being in existence, a natural-born New Zealander has never ever won it. Bob Fitzsimmons was an Englishman who came down here. I think he lived in Napier, and that's going back to the 30s, I think it was. So you've never had a Kiwi who was born in this country win it. If you have a look at over all the sports that we're good at, whether it be the Olympics, where we win gold medals on a regular basis, whether it be the All Blacks, where they win World Cups and they've been dominant in their sport for a long time, we've never had a world heavyweight title fight in New Zealand. This is like the holy grail of sport. So I would have thought if we can pull this off in the next 3 to 6 months, you know, in December, January, February would be realistic. Why wouldn't you look at Eden Park? You know, this might be the biggest sporting event this country's ever seen. If you go back to, I think it was 2000 when David Tua fought Lennox Lewis, it was one of the highest ranked TV shows of all time in New Zealand TV. And that was two guys drove that promotion. It was only just outrated by the Rugby World Cup, which had $500 million of government money behind it, literally hundreds of employees, 4 or 5 or 6 years build up, and 4 TV stations covering it. And it took that to beat what David Tua did against Lennox Lewis in TV ratings. So this will be absolutely massive, because I think in a very short space of time, Joseph has become probably, it's hard to match, hard to gauge, but probably a bigger star than David Tua was, which is a big deal. You know, Joseph right now is probably the most recognised sportsman in this country. And if he goes and wins the world heavyweight title, he might become the most recognised person in this country behind the Prime Minister.
Question, Dean, why Andy Ruiz was number 3 and not Wladimir Klitschko?
Simply because at the moment the discussions are going on between Anthony Joshua and Wladimir Klitschko, and that will take Klitschko out of the reckoning. So once you're tied up and contracted to a fight, you then go to the next closest contender. Andy Ruiz is perfect for us because from a financial point of view, we could probably never get Wladimir Klitschko here, and we could probably never get Anthony Joshua here because they have significant followings, massive revenues follow them wherever they fight in their home countries. Andy Ruiz doesn't have that, you know, and so we think from a financial point of view we can get him down here, and obviously we broadcast that out to the world and we can make it work. And our job as the promoter of Joseph Parker is to present the best options, and if the best option to win a world title is to fight Andy Ruiz in New Zealand, that's the option we're going to pursue.
Have you had that conversation with the Ruiz camp yet?
The conversation we've had is, we'd like to fight you guys for the world title. They've come back and said, yes, we're keen to do it. And it's just now a case of making sure we can tie down a deal. Now, there's a lot of water to go under the bridge. Number one, Tyson Fury has to be stripped, but the word is that it's going to happen. Number two, Wladimir Klitschko has to then turn around and fight Anthony Joshua. They're deep in negotiations right now. So that leaves what's available, what is left in the WBO. Joseph Parker versus the next highest ranked guy. And it turns out that Top Rank, which is the most powerful promotional company in boxing, wants this to happen. So they're going to have a lot of sway with the WBO, and they've got something going on. Like Andy doesn't have a home audience up there to any great degree, so we think we can get him down here from a financial point of view and make it work. And promotionally, we can definitely make it work because this is such a rare occurrence in sport. Full stop.
And if you're offered a fight on the November 26th against Anthony Joshua?
That's a really interesting question. You know, like sometimes you got to take a bird in the hand. Now, at the moment, last week I was Eddie Hearn's best friend. This week, mate, he's dancing with somebody else. So in 2 days' time, who knows what could happen? I could be Eddie's best friend again, and we move towards making a fight with Anthony Joshua. But right now, the best option available to us is to pursue Andy Ruiz, is to start down the track of getting a deal done. And if that deal happens and we sign it and the WBO sign it off, that's the deal we'll do.
It'll be cheaper for all of us, won't it?
Well, if Eddie Hearn is good enough to put together a fight with ourselves and Joseph Parker, it's fair to say our airfares are going to be paid. You guys are another story.
KB, yesterday, he was very adamant that he didn't want any more publicity around Joe, just to focus on the fight on Saturday. So why he come out with this news?
Well, I guess the thing is there's an appetite for this news at the moment, and we've got a massive fight coming up. And this stuff, it's a very fluid situation. One of the things we do know with both Kevin Barry and Joseph Parker is that they're used to distractions. You know, Kevin's always talking about how much media we get Joe to do in fight week, and it sometimes drives him mad. But all the media we've done over the last 3.5 years has been in preparation for this. Joseph's always known that you've got to fight. You got to fight what's in front of you, and you can't look beyond it. Because if you look too far beyond, you might just stumble on what's right in front of you. So, Joseph Parker is very much focused on this, and we don't talk to him about these things. We tell him that the media's coming up. Don't take too much notice because your job's on Saturday night.
I can't imagine you would have started talking to the Ruiz camp without running that past Kevin Barry. What's his thoughts on?
I told Kevin afterwards, and he thought it was a good idea. Look, I keep coming back to this. It's our job to make sure that we have options in front of us. And if we're going down one path, we might get in a position that we don't necessarily like for whatever reason. Whereas now, we've got two paths, and maybe even three, because I've also put an email into Wladimir Klitschko to see if he's interested in fighting us. So let's just wait and see. A fight like that would be held in Germany. Bern Bonder's manager's come back.
Have you had any correspondence?
Yeah, Bern Bonder's manager come back and says, yes, we're interested. What sort of deal structure would you look at? And I guess what it's about now for Anthony Joshua, Wladimir Klitschko, and Andy Ruiz, it's about summing up what's available, what's out there. Let's make decisions from there. The only person who's got pressure on him right now is Eddie Hearn, because he's got the date set down for November 26th. It's hard for him to get venues, and the clock is ticking. And we've had Joseph Parker in camp now for 6 or 7 weeks. He's been in there sparring giants, getting ready for this particular fight. If it turns out we're fighting Anthony Joshua, he'll go back and continue to spar those giants, assuming we get past Alexander Dimitrenko. Joseph Parker, if he fights Anthony Joshua on November 26th or in March, will be the best prepared fighter that Joshua's ever fought. And we've put together this campaign. We're not going to compete. We're not going to be part of a world heavyweight title fight. We're going there to win it. And that's why we're taking risks like we are on Saturday night against guys who can really fight, guys who are durable, guys who are tough. Because our goal is to win the heavyweight title, not to get there and fight for it.
Thank you.
All good?